will be merit-based and colorblind. You will be judged based on how good you are at your job. Full stop. That's it. And so getting rid of diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, getting rid of different standards was fundamental to getting back to basics. And that's what when I get a chance to talk to commanders here, that's what I emphasize. We're getting back to basics. Standards at every level need to be adhered to, and that's at a baseline. And when you talk,
if you thought Pete Hegseth couldn't dig his political grave any deeper somehow, you would be wrong. Because our Secretary of Defense and I just can't believe he's still our Secretary of Defense. He should have already resigned by now, held a press conference late yesterday in which not only did he implode, not only did he lose it, but he needed his lackeys to scream at a reporter for asking the questions we all deserve answers to. Was Pete Hegseth sharing classified information in a compromised Signal group chat? Was he drinking on the job? It was an absolute disaster. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into Pete Hegseth, I want to hear, unfortunately, what Donald Trump has to say about all this. And make sure to stick around, because later in this video, we're also talking to Congressman Eric Swalwell.
What it was, we believe, is somebody that was on the line with permission, somebody that was with Mike Waltz, worked for Mike Waltz at a lower level, had, I guess, Goldberg's number or called through the app, and somehow this guy ended up on the call. Now, it wasn't classified, as I understand it. There was no classified information. There was no problem, and the attack was a tremendous success. So I can only go by what I've been told. I wasn't involved in it, but I was told by, and the other people weren't involved at all. But I feel very comfortable, actually.
What a shocker. Is anyone really surprised that Donald Trump is not taking accountability? Well, I had nothing to do with it. And neither did the people who had anything to do with it. And neither did the people who didn't have anything to do with it. Who had something to do with it. The buck doesn't stop anywhere in this Trump administration. I think he's trying to pawn it off on Joe Biden somehow. Donald Trump hasn't found a way to blame him, Hillary Clinton, or Kamala Harris yet. But we're only a couple of days into this scandal, so give him some time. Because if there's anything he loves more than not taking accountability, it's passing the blame onto someone who had nothing to do with his screw-up. But that's what this administration is. Screw-up after screw-up. Covered up with lie after lie. And even more hypocrisy than we could ever expect. And in the midst of all this, Pete Hegseth exposing himself as the most unqualified Secretary of Defense we've ever had, he somehow managed to say the most hypocritical thing ever. Just watch this clip right here.
Those programs. My assessment is the DOD will be merit-based and colorblind. You will be judged based on how good you are at your job. Full stop. That's it. And so getting rid of diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, getting rid of different standards was fundamental to getting back to basics. And that's what when I get a chance to talk to commanders here, that's what I emphasize. We're getting back to basics. Standards at every level need to be adhered to, and that's at a baseline. And when you talk to soldiers, you talk to Marines, they get it. They get it. They've seen the standards slide under the previous administration.
One thing that Donald Trump is most afraid of, it's appearing weak. And it's probably because he is not just mentally, but in his actual authority as president, which gets diminished every day. He becomes more unpopular, and every day more judicial rulings are handed down, letting Donald Trump know that, hey, you can't just override checks and balances, but one place that
then maybe make a little sacrifice to it and get rid of yourself. Because you cannot do this job. You can't even answer questions about how you can't do this job. Just take a look right here.
Mr. Secretary, the messages the White House called authentic did at the very least include sensitive details about targets and timing. Did you declassify that information before you put it in the chat? And are you using Signal to discuss operations as sensitive as the strikes against the Houthis on a government or a personal phone?
First, all I would say is the strikes against the Houthis that night were devastatingly effective. And I'm incredibly proud of the courage and skill of the troops. And they are ongoing and continue to be devastatingly effective. The last place I would want to be right now is a Houthi in Yemen who wants to disrupt freedom of navigation. So the skill and courage of our troops is on full display. It's a complete opposite approach from the fecklessness of the Biden administration. President Trump said peace through strength will be brought back. Freedom of navigation will return. And that's exactly what we're doing. As I also stated yesterday, nobody's texting war plans. And that's all.
Take a look. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the non-answers are even more damning than the lies. And boy, were there a lot of lies coming out of Pete Hegseth. But really, the worst of them all was this one right here. One that came as a reporter was literally being screamed down by Pete Hegseth's goons. Just take a look.
I also stated yesterday, nobody's texting war plans. And that's all I have to say about that.
So those same troops that you are proud of, do you regret putting information like the ones you did in the signal chat that could endanger those same American service members?
Nobody's texting war plans. I know exactly what I'm doing, exactly what we're directing, and I'm really proud of what we accomplished.
Look at that full interview. You gotta be kidding me. I don't even have the words. And if I did have them, I sure as hell wouldn't send them in a compromised signal group chat with the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic in it. These people are dumb. They do not know what they're doing. They have no place running our government. And yet, they are in some of the most important positions in our country. And they just don't seem to care. But Democrats do. They are immediately jumping at the opportunity to expose just how unqualified, corrupt, and criminally crazy this administration is. And of course, Eric Swalwell was one of the Democrats leading that charge, someone we actually talked to just yesterday. And I want to take a look at that full interview. Me. I don't even have the words. I really don't. And if I did have them, I would not send them in a compromised signal group chat with the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic in it. These people are dumb. They do not know what they are doing. They have no place running our government. And they are in the most important positions in our country, yet they just don't seem to care. But Democrats do, immediately jumping at the opportunity to expose just how unqualified, corrupt, and criminally crazy this administration is. And of course, Eric Swalwell was one of the Democrats doing that, someone we talked to just yesterday. I want to take a look at that full interview. Congressman, the narrative that Donald Trump pushed in his campaign, obviously, it wasn't true. Donald Trump claimed that his first term had some chaos, some mean tweets, as Republicans called them, but that the economy was good, so it was fine until it wasn't, until he crashed, and now he's crashing it again. He's sped up that process, and we see disasters all over the place. Now, Republicans don't think that's true. Pete Hegseth is a great example of that. So I want to hear what Pete Hegseth thinks and then get your response from a person who actually knows what they're talking about. The previous administration, we looked like fools. Not anymore! President Trump has reestablished American leadership. The F-47 is part of it. And Mr. President, thank you for having the courage to do it and leading the way for all our warfighters. Thank you. First off, the president wouldn't know the difference between an F-150 and whatever the F-47 is. You know, of our fighter jets. I think it's more like an F-5, like a tornado that is just wiping out, you know, everyone who is in its way. And people's healthcare security is at risk. Their savings are starting to dip. Their 401ks, if like their, retirement is invested in the stock market at all. It's in free fall. And people are like, hey man, we were just promised cheaper eggs. Why don't you focus on that? Yeah. It's an administration focused on naming and invading for some reason. That's what they care about. I don't know if you can go to the grocery store and present the Gulf of America as a coupon for cheaper eggs. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen, but let me tell you something about grocery stores. I've been talking to our Canadian friends, and you know what they tell me? You know the tariff thing? Trade negotiations? Countries do that. But this, about being a 51st state? We may never forgive you for that. And right now, in Canadian grocery stores, they are making an American-made section in the grocery store on purpose. So the grocers are putting all the American goods in one place so you know where not to go. And then, it's almost like a public shaming if you go over there and buy it. And guess who that screws over? Farmers in the United States. Who, and by the way, in Byron Donald's district, for example, he's, all in on MAGA. His farmers, are making a lot of produce that is going to Canada. And the Canadians, they're not going to buy it anymore. So we're hurting our own people with this nonsense. And they're doing it through the USAID cuts as well. They talk about how much they love farmers, how much they want to support American manufacturing. Well, we saw the mass exodus of American manufacturing under Donald Trump in his first term. We're probably going to see it happen again. This is just the most incompetent. I've just been straight up saying it. These are dumb people. They are dumb. And it's not just Pete Hegg. It's not just Tulsi Gabbard. It's not just RFK Jr. Of course, it all starts at the top. And it's not just that Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah, he may be losing his mind completely. And I think that's pretty clear in this clip right here. Your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top that's where the America is. Atlantic material sign included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that? I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think he doesn't like The Atlantic. They know nothing. You're saying, what? They were using the difference between the Atlantic Ocean and the Atlantic publication? Well, okay. If this is the case, then who is signing all of these orders? And who's, giving the commands for us to do what our military is doing? I mean, this guy spent the last 4 years calling Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. And this looks like, Donnie Dementia up there, who has no idea what the people working for him are doing. I think that it is insane that we have had Donald Trump on several occasions just this week say, oh, the Alien Enemies Act? I didn't sign that. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, top secret war materials being shared with journalists? I have no idea what you're talking about. He's not in charge. It seems like no one is in this administration. The mainstream media doesn't want to cover it. How do Democrats have to approach that to make sure people see? Donald Trump is falling apart. And he's bringing us all down with him? Well, don't bury the lead. The lead is Pete Hegseth should resign. Yeah, right? I mean, and frankly, every person on that chat should resign. And never, in their lifetime, have access to classified material. Because these morons exposed our military with their idiocy, just putting it into a group chat. And not even one of them said, hey, who is this other person in here that's not responding? Right? Like it wasn't like he was pretending to be someone else. He just wasn't responding. But it also raises this question. Donald Trump wants to fire everyone at the FBI and CIA and replace them with this. This insanity. No, it does not inspire confidence. But it also makes you wonder, who's the president? I think what we're seeing...
Wait, what? Pete Hegseth is still the Secretary of Defense? This moron publicly texts out our war plans, putting our soldiers at risk, and he's not gone? After he said over and over and over, so many other officials and other administrations should lose their security clearances and lose their jobs for stuff that is not even on the level of what he did here. And these guys, they want to fire everyone at the FBI and CIA and replace it with this? No. Hegseth has got to go. Everyone on that group chat, by the way, they just fire off texts not knowing who's on the group chat. They all should be fired if they don't resign. And they should all lose their security clearances. Bottom line. And calling for anything less just makes us miss the moment. We can't miss the moment. These guys.
Such a great opportunity to talk to Congressman Eric Swell. We are going to bring more Democrats on the show every day, every week. We are independent media. The mainstream media is not giving us the coverage that we need. They are failing to do their job as journalists. So we're picking up the slack. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around until the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.